Okay, so part two, talking about the difference between sport fighting and street fighting. So one thing I want to talk about really is people will often say that obviously in a street fight you can finish the fight a lot quicker, which we all agree with. Fights shouldn't take that long, and then obviously sport fights take a lot longer. You've got protective equipment, different things. So there's two different types of outcome that you're looking to achieve. That's why some people who obviously have a combatives idea will be, you finish the fight very quick. But what a lot of these ideas don't really cope with is the person's level of ability and level of skill. And I think you see people that teach this stuff, often they've got a very broad background, so already black belts in judo, black belts in different styles, and then they're teaching the apex of what they use, so it's easy to answer a question with the answer when you have a wide knowledge. You just choose the answer from that big base of knowledge. But then when you teach people then who don't have that base or that big long background in the martial arts and that experience and all them resources we talked about in the first part, then obviously they can't make them choices. So not to say anything about combatives. I think some of the trainers are very good, but what I'm saying is that stuff is really designed to give a soldier or someone in a situation a very small amount of tools to deal with a situation very quickly, because usually they have other resources. If you're in forces, you have a gun, you have a tank, you have a plane. There's all different things that you have that hopefully you'll be using before you use your empty hands. So it's become vogue now to use that to sell an art, in terms of it's quite romantic for some people to train an art that's been used in combat. And that has some valid kudos to it, because obviously it's been proven, but that doesn't mean that proven art can be given to someone else who hasn't got that kind of mental background and use it. So my point is, it's not just the art itself that you're training or the techniques you're training, it's what's your mindset. How can you cope with these stresses? So that goes back to the sport training. That's a way to test yourself, to push yourself in the class or under pressure in a cage fight. It pushes you to a level of anxiety and pressure that you wouldn't normally experience. So I think that's why there's a difference between the two schools of thought, because I think they're talking about two different things. Both of them things are completely different in some ways, but the common ground is that you need one to fortify yourself to do the other. Without that, I don't think you have that level of training to deal with that kind of pressure.